Alright, so I'll make a video here about the Lee Classic turret press. Because mainly I had many questions about this press when I was looking at it that weren't really readily answered by some of the documentation online. And so hopefully this will be helpful to kind of show how this thing works, and as opposed to say a progressive press or a single stage press. So this is again the Lee Classic 4 turret press. I have a couple accessories on it. And first, of course, be this big black stand here. This is a stand from Inline Fabrication. A friend of mine told me about this, and I think it's a great addition because it raises the press up off your work surface. And in case of this particular bench, using the press directly attached to the bench would mean that the drawers would be inaccessible due to the RAM. So that lifts it up and makes me have access to our drawers, which is good. So a couple things here. This is the Lee Pro Auto Disc powder measure, along with well, it's hard to see with this angle. I'm not using the disc, I'm using the micrometer adjusted cavity powder assembly for it to dial in the correct amount of powder rather than using the discs. It's attached to this riser. This is the riser for the auto disc powder measure. This raises the whole assembly up a couple, about an inch and a half or so it clears the other dies. It screws into the Lee powder through expander die. This over here is the Lee safety prime assembly. This is to semi-automatically prime or put primers into the primer arm. And what other things do I have here? I think that's about it. So let's kind of explain how this thing works, because I know it's a little different than maybe, especially for those of you who may be doing single stage right now. So I guess the number one thing to understand about the way this thing works is that the turret moves. So as you actuate the RAM, the turret will change position, and so that the shell you have in the RAM will cycle through the various stages. So this is a 4-stage assembly, which is designed really for Lee's four die sets, and it works really well for that. You can use other dies, but they'll obviously, if they don't have the factory crimp die, there'll be a station empty. And if you were to buy the Lee powder through expander and the factory crimp die, it costs only like $10 less than buying the whole set. So I mean, even though people have different opinions about Lee's quality, the set seems to work okay. So the turret itself, here's an extra turret. You can buy these for about $12, and they're you can swap the turret in and out to change when you're reloading really quickly. So you can also unscrew the riser and swap the powder assembly between the turrets. So a loaded turret, as I have here, you can store them in these spots. These are Lee's holders, I guess you call them, or cases for the turrets, and you can drop them in here as a whole assembly, keep them handy. So you can just change the caliber you're loading, just by dropping the whole assembly in. It means you can set these things up once and leave them set the way they are, and they should stay the same as you switch from loading, one type of round to the other. So one thing I did find out about using other companies' dies in the turrets is that if the die has a locking ring that's it's like larger, like for instance one of the split rings that has you screw the lock ring from the side, they actually will hit each other. So you end up having to either use the locking rings with the set screw, but that is problematic because depending on the angle where the set screw ends up, you may not be able to tighten it. So Lee dies actually have their locking ring system is pretty simple. It's just basically an O-ring that sits in the bottom, and that keeps the die from moving. It's, typical Lee, it's kind of simple, but it works. You can swap out, you can buy those Lee locking rings separately and use them on other companies' dies, but I just sold the dies I had off to other people who needed them, and just went with the Lee stuff instead. So, so let's kind of show how this thing operates. It's already been set up. I'm loading 44 Magnum now, and I've already gone through the process of setting up the dies for the correct length and setting the powder drop for the correct amount of powder, and everything is already ready to go. So I'll kind of show how the process works. First thing you're going to do is, I don't know if you noticed while I moved the thing up and down before, but the primer assembly, the safety primer assembly, it sits in the actual RAM itself, and it's held in actually by the shell holder. So if you take the shell holder out, you can pull the lever to send it out. You can swap out for the, whether you're using small primer or large primer. So it goes actually in and out of the hole in the middle of the shell holder as you go up and down. And because it's spring-loaded, if it's not needed, it just simply touches the bottom of the case and doesn't really do anything. So the effect that it goes up and down really isn't much of a problem. Also, the mechanism to actuate or index the turret is actually a very simple little plastic. It's a plastic little ratchet square thing here that rides up down on the square-shaped shaft. The shaft has a twist on the bottom, and as it rides down, it'll rotate itself, and of course rotate the assembly. So I've heard people complaining about them breaking. I mean, they're obviously a wear part because it comes with a spare. So I guess just keep one handy. These again come out as an assembly, so you can just rotate it and take the whole thing out. Makes changing it really easy. If you don't want the thing to auto index, you can pull this rod out, and you can use the turret assembly as a simply more like a single stage press. So if I were to drop it back in there, assuming that it'll go back in, then you can just rotate it manually, and it has a stop at each station, so you can positively engage each single die. So we're going to put that back in. Okay. Another thing I wanted to share is that if you bring the RAM up above the point where the twist is, you can freely rotate the turret and lock it wherever you need it. It's just obviously one stage away, so when you bring it back down, it'll be where you want it to be. If you rotate it while it's at the bottom, it'll get stuck. It stops there, and you might break the plastic ratchet thing. So I guess I'll load some 44 Magnum here, and I'll kind of show how this thing is, how you use it as it's intended. So first thing, I'm going to put a shell in the shell holder. The first stage will be a decapper, which removes the old die, removes the old primer, and it resizes the case because when they're fired, the cases extend a little bit from the pressure. So this brings it back to the normal size. So you run the handle all the way down, and now what you'll do is you'll use the safety prime mechanism here, and you will push it in there, and that will load the primer into that little primer cup. So now when you bring it back down, it'll stop, but you have to push it forward to seat the primer. And it takes a little effort, but not too hard. So now the primer has been pushed into the new primer anyway, has been pushed to the bottom of the case. By the way, the spent primers will run down the RAM and end up collecting in the tube that they give you. I cut the tube short because it's it goes right against the desk here. But you can just pick them out, you clean them out later if you want. Okay, next stage is to charge the case. So this is the lead expander and powder drop die. So what it does is when you bring it up, it'll actuate the primer drop, which will drop the right amount of powder into the case, as well as bell the mouth a little bit so that you can actually put a bullet in the case. So we'll do that now. Drop the powder. So now in the case, although it's obviously probably can't be seen, but there is powder in the case right now. You can take a bullet, and you will see the bullet on the top of the case with a little, the expander has made a little bell out of the top. Next station will be the seat die, which will seat the bullet to the proper depth. And the final stage will be the factory crimp die, which will crimp the top and make sure the bullet stays in place. And that's it. This one is done. So we'll run through a couple more. That's a little sticky. Have to go more force than normal. There we go. That's it. And so far it's been pretty good. So hope that was helpful. And any questions? I guess drop me a line. Thanks.